Now that we have something to drink, let's get to work. Okay, so the powerful thing about basic shapes is, you can use it to draw anything. So if we look at the eraser, okay, let's do that ugly part out. If you look at the eraser, it's basically a rectangle, right? If you turn it a little bit, you've got 3 rectangles, 3 planes, and they're all basically rectangles. If we take my cup, it's a circle, and then you've got the white circle in the inside, and then you've got the T in the bottom. So that's three circles right there, a rectangle and a half circle there. So this is very basic, but just so you can get the idea, that's what we're working towards. So the first step is very basic. It's tedious. I'm warning you, it's tedious. But trust me, if you do the groundwork, it's so going to be worth it. You're going to save a lot of hours in the long run. Okay, so first up, practice your shapes. I know it sucks, I know it's boring, but put on your favorite TV show or your favorite music and just do a few pages of these. It'll really help you. It'll help with your muscle memory, and it'll help you get those circles nice and round. While we're on the topic, let's talk about how you can hold your pencil grip. So I've got a mechanical pencil here and a normal 2B over here. So usually this would be longer, but I've used this one a lot, as you can see. So the thing about pencils, what you learn in school, right, is you hold it like this, and maybe you have a little different grip. Some people hold it like this. I don't know how they do it, but anyway, so you hold it however you're comfortable, and when you write, you're very close to the front because you need a lot of control to make those small figures, right? So what happens when you hold it a little farther back is you've got less control, and that might sound like you don't want to do that. It might sound counterintuitive, but there are times in when you're doing art when this is very useful, especially when you're starting with drawing at the beginning of a sketch. You use your arm, actually from your shoulder, you use your arm, and you usually don't use your elbow, but you start from your shoulder, and then you can use your arm, and you can use your wrist. So if you want a nice big half moon, see how I'm tilting my wrist, rotating my wrist, again, circle, you see? And so when you get to bigger shapes, this is something you will definitely use. But for now, we're doing small shapes for now. You can hold it a bit more to the front, and don't hold it too tightly. When you hold it very tightly, you tend to press a bit harder, and you have a lot of control, and so you're more likely to make a line like that. So a bit looser, and don't press too hard. And remember, you don't draw like this. That's a mistake many beginners make. If you want to look like a pro, trust me, you go like this. It's almost like it's got fur, but obviously it doesn't really. What this does is it gives you more control. And now you may say, oh, but that looks messy. Oh yes, I can definitely see that it looks messy, but thank goodness we have an eraser and we can just clean it up. And so what I like to call this is finding the line. I don't know if that's an artistic term or not, but when I draw, it may look very messy. So you see, that's very messy. But I'm looking for the line, so I continue, I ignore those, and I just continue, and I'm like, okay, that doesn't work. This looks like it might work. This looks like it might work. Oh, that doesn't work, but we continue, and I can see in all that mess, I can see my circle. Then I can go and clean it up nicely and take away all the construction part. all the bits I don't like, and maybe darken this, and you can work it until you're happy with it. So if it's messy, don't worry, just go with it. Try and get nice circles, triangles, and squares. I'm going to go ahead and do a few practice pieces, and then I'll be back for the next step. So what you might notice while you're doing this practice is that when you do the circle, this part comes naturally because your hand automatically turns in that direction. But with this part, your hand does not do that naturally. So it's okay if you want to turn the page so that you can do it from the other side and get that nice curve, or you could do it this way. And that's the whole point of this practice. You're trying to teach your hand how to make these shapes naturally. This part is also quite easy because the hand moves naturally. This part is more difficult because my pencil is turning like this. So where I was doing this comfortably, now I need to do this. And it's uncomfortable and you use different muscles. So practice that, and then with this part, I turn my hand and I'm using my arm. I'm not even really using the fingers or the wrist. I'm using the arm to get a nice straight line at the bottom there. So the benefit of practicing the squares is it helps you eyeball the length of a line. So you need to, because these are squares, you need to practice getting this line more or less the same length, otherwise you have a rectangle. You can practice rectangles as well, that's also useful. But so what you can do to get an even line that's the same length as that one is measure it using your pencil. What you do in art and paintings, you'll see people do this. They put their arm far from their body at arm's length, they hold the pencil and then they hold this and they squint with their eyes. So that's the same thing you're doing here. So you're using the pencil to see how long the line is. Put your finger up there and it's like, oh, it's about this length. Then you turn your pencil and you know where to put the dot, and it's about there. Okay, so cylinders are also useful. That is basically a cylinder. This is a cylinder that tapers. A tree trunk is a cylinder. And a cylinder is basically a rectangle or a square with an oval, which is a circle that's squished. Okay, so cylinders are versatile. They use your basic shapes. So you can draw a pipe, a pencil. This is a cylinder. So a cylinder is something you might want to practice as well, along with your basic shapes. Okay, so now that your page is done, you can do maybe 2 pages for practice or more if you really want. Do it until you feel comfortable with the pencil and your circles are getting more or less circly. So when you're comfortable, then we can move on to the next step. We can assemble a basic form. Let's look at an eraser. Like I said earlier, you've got 3 rectangles. A rectangle is basically a square that's elongated, right? we'll do an eraser. So we're just turning that square on its side and stretching it out. So this is 3D drawing, but it's also construction drawing. So if you have your example, you don't have to know the rules of 3D, because you can just look at what you have. You look at your reference. Oh, let's look at it from a different angle. Let's look at it like this. So that's just a rectangle, right? Let's look at it like this. I'm trying to look at it in the camera, so it's a bit tricky. And it goes like that, and then it has a curve. Two curves really, the dirty side. So hopefully that gives you an idea of construction drawing. I'll do a few more examples. So hopefully now you can see where we're going with the construction drawing. So this leads to this. I'm now going to demonstrate how to draw a hand using this technique. It's easy because you have a reference at hand. You may see different shapes in different places. That's okay, we all see different things. This is just a tool to help you get the job done. Okay, so this is your basic construction. This is your foundation. So from here, you go and you correct and you make it pretty. You add your little, what do you call those, knuckles? You can add your ring, and you can delete these guidelines. You can add that little bump there, also a knuckle. So this is a, let's say, the skeleton and then you go and add the flesh, and then you clean it up. So I hope that makes sense. That's the end of today's lesson. If you want, you can stick around for a daisy demonstration. I didn't want to stop on the unfinished hand drawing. I wanted to give you a nice demonstration of how you can go from a very basic sketch through the cleanup process to a nice finished result. There are also some suggestions at the end of this video on things you can do to practice construction drawing.